Driver's ready? Butts to light.
So now that you have your car all dialed in, you've probably been running the stock RTR body all this time and feel that it's time for a fresh new look. Well, in this video, we're going to show you how to mount and paint a brand new body. Before we get started, there are a few things that you're going to need. Some good quality masking tape or paint mask of your choice, a fine point marker or pen, a body reamer such as our factory team one, hobby knife with a brand new number 11 blade, good pair of scissors, dish soap, paper towels, and polycarbonate paint in whichever color you choose. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and prep the body for mounting before we apply any paint. Doing this while it's still clear will make it easy for us to see where the body posts are and how the body is going to fit on the chassis. If the body that you're using is specifically made for your chassis, it may have some dimples to indicate where body posts are located. If it does, it's still a good idea to go ahead and double check to make sure things line up. As you can see, this body has dimples for posts that mount further forward than the ones on the stock DR10 chassis. So we're going to need to make a mark for the stock body post location. To do so, make sure the body is lined up and is centered on the wheels. Using your marker or pen, mark the location of the center of the body post on the outside. With the reamer, carefully punch a small hole in the marks you just made. You don't need to ream the holes just yet. These are just to mark the holes in case the ink rubs off or if you accidentally peel the protective film before reaming the holes later on. With the body holes marked, it's time to head over to the sink and wash the body. Using the dish soap and warm water, thoroughly wash the inside of the body, making sure that you get in every corner. You'll want to make sure you clean it well to remove any oil or residue when the body was formed. Personally, I prefer to use plain paper towels over cloth towels. Depending on what is used to wash your towels, they could leave a residue from the fabric softener or detergents, and this will cause the paint to not stick. So I've been painting bodies for over 30 years, and the most important things I've learned is that prep is key and to take your time. Without those two things, it's going to be near impossible to get a great looking paint job. When you're done washing the body, make sure that you rinse it well with warm water to remove every bit of soap and debris. When you're done rinsing, you'll want to thoroughly dry the inside of the body with some clean paper towels. Again, be sure to clean every corner and try to remove as much moisture as possible. After you're done drying the body, it's a good idea to go ahead and set it aside for about 30 minutes to allow any remaining moisture to evaporate before moving on. After the body has been sitting for a while and is completely dry, we can now go ahead and begin to apply the window mask that came with your body. Sometimes there's a little bit of extra material around the window masks. We're going to want to go ahead and remove that, so that way we're only left with the masks themselves. Next, using some scissors, cut the backing paper as close as you can around the window mask. Go ahead and do this for all the windows. Me personally, I like to lay them down in the proper orientation for easy reference. To apply them, peel back just a small portion of the backing paper and fold it behind the mask. This will allow you to line up the window mask before you stick it to the body. Once you have it all lined up, you can go ahead and press the sticky side down, peel the backing paper up, and run your finger across to work it down onto the body. Make sure that you press down all the edges so that there's a good seal. Go ahead and do this for all the windows, and remember to press down all the edges. I like to use the back of my thumbnail but you can use whatever works for you. To make my design as symmetrical as possible, I like to mark the center line of the body before I begin to mask the design. Now's the fun part, to get creative and draw your design on the outside of the body using a marker or pen. For your first custom paint job, I suggest keeping it simple. Limit it to 2 or 3 colors, don't go crazy, or you'll end up making things difficult and you'll just get discouraged if things don't go well. As you can see here, I'm doing a very complex design, but no matter how simple or how complex your design is, the basics are always going to be the same. Carefully plan your paint scheme and mask accordingly. You'll want to paint dark colors first and work your way to the lighter ones. This will ensure that the dark colors don't bleed through the light colors. I like to design my paint job on one half of the body first and then mirror that design to the other half. Once that's done, it's time to apply the masking tape. If you have to use more than one piece of masking tape for an area, make sure that you overlap the tape and press it down for a good seal. Then carefully cut out the design with a sharp hobby knife, but be careful. Don't press too hard or you might end up scoring the body and creating a weak spot. Next, carefully peel the excess tape away, leaving the design in place. Again, make sure you press down the edges so that paint won't bleed underneath the tape. Go ahead and continue this with the entire body until you have the design all masked. Once you have the entire paint scheme masked off, it's time to lay down some paint. Whenever you are painting, make sure you are in a well-ventilated area, or better yet, outside. Also, make sure that the paint you are using is specifically made for polycarbonate. Usually it'll say so on the can. Whenever you apply paint, you should always build up each color in several light coats. This does 2 things. It helps the paint adhere to the plastic without runs, and it also helps seal the edges of the mask to prevent bleeds. You should never try to paint your colors all in one coat. Once you have the first coat, allow it to dry. Then, repeat 2 or 3 more times, or until you have good solid coverage. After you've given the paint plenty of time to dry, you can remove the mask for the next color. Personally, I like to use a pair of tweezers, but you can use whatever works for you. With the area for the next color exposed, all you need to do is build up the colors the same as you did before. And remember, take your time. Whenever I paint, I find it best to do it in warm, dry weather. Temperatures between 74 and 90 degrees work best in my opinion. Too cold or too hot and the paint just doesn't seem to adhere as well. So now we're just going to go ahead and finish up this paint job with each following color, one light coat after another, carefully peeling up the masking as we go. After you have some experience painting a few more bodies, you may want to get a little bit more elaborate with your paint schemes. An airbrush is a good way to do that. You can create fades, drop shadows, and other effects that'll really make your paint job pop. If you ever want to learn how to airbrush, there are plenty of videos on YouTube that'll show you how. Backing your colors can be just as important as the main color. Candies, pearls, and metallics may need to be backed with either white, silver, or even black, depending on what type of effect you are going for. In any case, it's always a good idea to leave white as the last color. It doesn't really need to be backed by anything as long as there is good coverage. If for whatever reason you can't have white as your last color, it's always best to back it with silver to help reduce the chances of following colors showing through. After you're done painting the body, make sure you give it plenty of time to dry completely. Once it is dry, you can go ahead and remove the window mask and the outer protective film to reveal your finished paint job. To mount the body, begin by cutting it out. You can use a pair of curved scissors, or if you're careful, a sharp hobby knife to score a line. If you do use a hobby knife, carefully score along the trim lines, then bend the plastic at the score and it should break apart. But be careful, don't force it, or you might tear the body where you don't want it to. With the body fully cut out, you can now ream the mounting holes. If the body had dimples in the correct spots, simply locate those dimples and make your holes. Remember, Start small and test fit first. You can always make them bigger if you need to. If the reamer you are using has markings on it like our Factory Team one does, you can use those to make your holes the correct size. For the holes that didn't have a dimple, locate the area where you pierced the body to mark the post location. Then, just like before, go ahead and make your holes. With the body fully cut out and the mounting holes made, it's time to go ahead and place the body on the chassis and check for fitment. If all went well, your body should fit perfectly and look awesome. Here's a quick little tip to keep your body looking fresh much longer, and that's to put a piece of masking tape around the body post holes. What this does is prevent the body post from rubbing directly onto the paint. This happens as you run the car and also as you put the body on or take it off over time. Now that you're done painting your body, all that's left to do is apply your decals and install your spoiler. Then, it's off to the races.